and I'm pretty sure that Kamiya gave me pink eye.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to the show, people. Welcome to the show.
Eat my shorts.
So here is to conversation.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
All right, welcome to the Cash Exchange.
Welcome.
Three things for this week.
What do you got?
What do spending, waiting, and chafing have in common?
Spending, waiting, and chafing?
And chafing.
My first thought was a Black Friday
One of the
sale.
worst maladies a heavyset person could endure. Not even heavyset. You have to be like rail thin in order not to chafe, to never run the risk of chafing. It's not fair.
I work outside and I work in shorts, and one thing that I thought was...
Must be nice.
It's not. It's genuinely miserable. But one thing that I thought was common knowledge that I didn't realize wasn't until this job was that you can use cornstarch to prevent chub rub.
Yeah, to cake it all up. And then at the end of the day, you can make some cornbread muffins.
I rescind that fun fact of the podcast. That is horrifying. Spending, waiting, chafing. I still want to go with a Black Friday sale. You know, when you're like waiting outside, you can chafe in the cold, right? Is that the same terminology?
I don't know. Maybe. I guess if it's so dry and frozen that they start rubbing together and get irritated, I guess that would be a form of chafing, yeah. I guess because you can chafe from not enough moisture, and then you can chafe from too much moisture. But I definitely think heat chafing is worse than anything you would deal with in the cold.
Oh, for sure. I say that like I've ever really spent time in the cold.
Black Friday used to be my thing. Yeah. And then they kept moving it earlier and earlier. I remember there was one time I left dinner at like 5 p.m. to go get in line at Best Buy, and I was there until 6 o'clock the next morning. Don't suggest it. Very cold. You make some weird friends.
Yeah.
This year was the first year I did it again, but Lowe's opened at 5, and I got there at 1.
Okay.
1 or 2, and there wasn't even that many people there, so I would have been fine just getting there right at 5. But, I met some people that I'll never talk to again, and I'll always have the memories. So
I think there was a sweet spot for Black Friday when it was between the like people that were getting trampled over razor scooters and like where we're at now, where it's just generally depressing. Like the last time that I went to Walmart or like a retail store on Black Friday, I did not realize it was Black Friday. They just had a bunch of things in the like aisles and stuff that were like celebrating. There was the amount of people that were generally in that retail store. Yeah.
In a Walmart. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty sad that it's not an epidemic, but that's something that'll come into play later during this episode, which brings me back to the topic of this episode. And this week it is theme parks.
Okay.
What is your most recent experience with a theme park?
I was thinking about this earlier when I was like trying to get my skeleton for this episode, and I don't really know the last time I was at a theme park. I would guess that my last one was like Scarborough Fair, and I don't know if those count as theme parks. Like they're themed, there's activities and stuff, but I don't know if I would consider that one because I think the cutoff for me would be like something with rides. I don't know if that's like an actual designation for a theme park, but I think the Renaissance Fair is where my last theme park visit would be.
So in that case, would a fair, like a county fair, state fair, be a theme park?
I don't think so. but I couldn't tell you why.
I would think that a theme park has to be a place with bigger rides and possibly shows, but also a permanent place.
Okay, yeah.
So like it's a location that is just used for this theme park, even if it's not open
Okay.
year round.
I think in that case, then like Scarborough Fair would be sort of a theme park because it is most of the time that. And then it gets like Spirit Halloweened
Yeah.
in October for Screams.
I've never been. I've never been to a Renaissance fair.
It was a lot of fun and also really disgusting when we went because we went in May, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
and it was 102 degrees, I believe, outside.
Gross.
I went with a group of friends and we got a picture like as we walked in, and that was the last time we could take a picture because we were all just sweating through very thin polyester clothes.
Did
It
you
was
get a
fun.
flagon of mead?
Nate was deciding whether or not he wanted to buy one of those big like horns, which would be very fun for our neighbors. It'd be great.
What was the thing that Mosby had? It's the spiky ball on the chain.
Mace.
Mace, yeah. Or was it that, or was it
Um,
the one on the stick that he ran through the wall?
a flail. It was a
Yeah.
mace because he had the like stick and then the
Oh.
ball went through the ceiling.
Yeah.
Or wait, is the flail the one on the chain or is it the mace? I don't know my medieval weaponry.
I think the mace is on the chain.
Okay.
I don't know.
But anyway, my final answer is the Renaissance Fair.
Yeah, I'll have to try it out. It has a reputation that I don't think I've been willing to overcome. But if you've got relatively high praise for just not the weather, then I'd give it a try.
Yeah. If you go to the Renaissance Festival, I recommend doing the one in Houston instead. I've never been, but I did watch the documentary about it. It's like an entire city, essentially, unto itself. It's in November, so you get to completely sidestep the disgusting weather. It's probably like 80 degrees outside.
Okay.
And it is enormous.
Yeah, growing up, I mean, we always had a huge theme park not too far. You have any memories from Six Flags?
Not a ton of them. I know we always had the season passes, and I like remember bits and pieces of like Holiday in the Park, and
Mm-hmm.
I almost said Boo at the Zoo. That's definitely wrong. Fright Fest.
Fright Fest, yeah.
Like I remember more of the events and stuff that they did more so than the rides. I was only really a fan of one of the like bigger rides anyway.
Which one?
The Batman.
Batman? Oh, the Dangler? You know the story about the ride like that? It was at a different Six Flags, but a kid lost his hat. He climbed over 2 fences to go get it back and got his head kicked off.
Yeah. That's
It's not funny, but it's a little funny.
no.
Like
Well, anyway, the reason that I like the Batman ride.
If it was like a knee-high sign saying, "Hey, don't go over this," like, don't be an idiot. Come on. And then it's not. It's a 8 foot high fence, and then you're immediately met with another fence that said, "Hey, come on, seriously, don't do this. This is dumb."
Mm-hmm.
And then you jump that one. That's where you start to get into the realm of it being funny.
It is both tragic and natural selection at work.
I rode that with a friend in middle school, and he lost his phone out of his pocket. But he wasn't dumb enough to climb over the fences to get it. We just had to wait there until the end of the night when they did their checks, and then he was able to get it back. No, I remember Six Flags. I spent a lot of time there. Over the summer, our mom worked, and then our dad was off Tuesdays and Thursdays, so usually every Tuesday, he would take me and some friends up to Six Flags, and we just hang out there the whole day, cause some mischief, and then get picked back up later on. Yeah. And no, I got a lot of good memories from Six Flags, but I think the last time that I've been there, the last time we went was for Fright Fest, and we didn't really ride any of the big stuff. and it had a different aura about it. I don't know if I was just different because I was older and a lot of that stuff just made me nauseous now. But
Sure.
it just didn't have the same vibe to it, and I didn't feel like the crowd was the same that it used to be either.
I could see that. I think the kind of downfall of a lot of theme parks is just that they're obviously capitalist pits, but at a certain point, I think the fun to money ratio
Yeah.
is off. And
Oh yeah,
so
big time.
it's harder for teenagers and stuff to go have fun at Six Flags because it's very, very expensive to exist there.
Yeah, I don't even know what a season pass would be now. It's north of $100.
Yeah.
There used to be a trick where if you went in, and I'm pretty sure the statute of limitations is up on this, so they can't do anything to me. But if you went in if you went in with like your school, and so you got a free ticket through them, or if it was like bring a friend day for someone with a season pass, then you could just go up to like any register and say, "Hey, can I upgrade to a season pass? Can I upgrade my ticket to a season pass?" Sometimes they would ask you for, "Okay, well, can I see your ticket from today?" And then you would just have to say, "Oh, I lost it," and then move on. Go ask someone for their ticket stub, and then go. Or they wouldn't even ask you at all, and then you'd pay it was like maybe 20, 30 more dollars for the season pass. So you get a season pass for 30
Okay.
bucks. But I
Game in the
highly doubt
system.
that works
Impressive.
anymore. I don't think it works.
No,
So,
not when everything's on your phone.
yeah.
Show me someone with the ticket stub.
But it's not just the fact that I'm older. It's also I just think that this experience as a whole is just crappier.
I could see
When
that.
we were at Fright Fest, they they have a big theater building, and I remember we went to multiple shows throughout the years and it was a 4D theater. Like there was a dinosaur one, there was a SpongeBob one, there was uh I thought of it earlier today, but I can't remember what it is now. But now all that's taken out, and it's just like a one of those rides like they have at Disney World with Buzz Lightyear where you just shoot stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so they don't have the 4D
That's
theater
lame.
anymore. Yeah. And the ride kept breaking down. It broke down like 2 or 3 times while we were in line. They used to have this elevator ride that would take you up and then drop you down, and then you'd land like on your back, and that was cool. But they took that one out.
Which one was that one?
I was right there by the 4D theater and right next to that big raft ride.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you would have ever ridden that because they took that out probably, I don't know, when I was maybe a freshman, sophomore.
Okay. Then yeah, I
Uh,
definitely didn't write that.
yeah, and then around that time they also had this big push for taking out the like stuff that had been there a while and replacing it with like these smaller, crappy vomit comet rides. Like it seems
And yet
like
the Judge
they're
Roy Scream has stayed.
yeah, the Judge Roy Scream has stood the test of time, but that thing will snap your neck if you're not careful. They recently took out the toboggan ride, and they're
Okay.
replacing it with something else, and it hasn't been built yet. But they put in like 5 of these things that just whip you around and scramble up your brains in lieu of one of the bigger rides. I don't even remember which one it was, but
Okay.
Flashback. Flashback. It was one that
Okay.
pulled you back. You went through it. You went up a hill, and then it sent you back down backwards.
The
They took that
flashback
one
got
out.
rebranded, right? As like the Joker or the Riddler or something.
No, they took it out completely.
Oh.
And then replaced it with all the Batman themed stuff. That just wants you to just throw up.
Yeah.
That's the entire goal of those rides. They're not fun.
That's really lame.
Yeah. I know that one of the problems that they're having is being able to Six Flags in particular. I mean, this is the one that's closest to me, so this is the one I get the news about. But they're constantly trying to hire people. They can't keep people employed there because no one wants to work
I mean,
there.
that's mostly like a teen job anyway, right?
Yeah.
I don't feel like that's usually a a thing with a lot of tenure.
But before it was never an issue of, oh well, we can't operate this ride because we literally don't have anyone to operate it,
Okay.
which is something that it's all over TikTok, and it's not just Six Flags. It's a lot of the theme parks. But they'll go and they'll complain that all this stuff is closed and they said that the reason is that there's no one to operate it. And so you go there, you
Okay.
pay the full ticket price, and then you only are able to ride like half the stuff.
It's like going into one of those decrepit old malls where the chains are down on half of the stores.
Yeah, yeah. There's an actual person in the store like every 5 slots. And it's a ghost town. Like, don't get me wrong, before some of those lines were god awful, and waiting there for an hour and 45 minutes for a 3-minute ride doesn't sound like the best. But now you can just walk up and be on the ride, and then this long queue to get in, you get on the ride, and then this long queue to get out because they're expecting there to just be hundreds of people. And it does take away from the experience. Like, there should be a happy medium to where maybe you wait 30 minutes for a ride and then get on and then get off and go about your day, go find something else to do. But it just, I think it just takes away a lot of the magic.
Yeah. I personally think it's a little bit dumb that a lot of these theme parks and stuff like Disney has their Magic Pass. Six Flags has like the Flash Pass and stuff where you can
Flash
just pay
Pass,
like
yeah.
an exorbitant amount of money to skip the lines. Like,
I
that's
think-
part of the experience. It's not a great part of the experience, but you're
I
supposed to
think
wait in those lines.
Disney now is the Genie Pass.
Genie Pass, yeah.
And it used to be you could just walk up to a ride and there'd be a kiosk there. They would say the wait is this amount of time. You ask for a voucher, it gives you a time to come back. And then you still had to wait like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But now you pay per person. And then I think there's a limit on how many rides you can do with the Genie Pass. And it's like crazy
What?
expensive. I got a breakdown.
It's insane.
of Disney World price, an updated, because I know we've gone there before, but this is an updated Disney World trip breakdown later. What about SeaWorld? What do you remember from SeaWorld?
I remember going to SeaWorld, I think or probably as much as I remember going to Six Flags, even though we went fewer times. Because that was our like yearly vacation, was to San Antonio for SeaWorld.
Yeah.
And I do remember a lot of the like orca shows and stuff, which thankfully are no longer a thing. Are they still a thing?
I got a story to tell you.
That's nuts. I thought after Blackfish they stopped doing all of the shows. I mean, I know they can't really release them back into captivity, or into the wild from captivity.
Yeah. Do you remember our first encounter with Shamu?
Maybe.
I do. I remember it was you, me, mom, and dad, and we whined like hell to get in the splash zone. And I think we eventually got them to agree to sit like in like one of like the topper quarter of the splash zone.
Yeah.
But that wasn't good enough for us, so we really wanted to make sure we got the full experience. And into the show comes and we get hit, and we were both just so pissed that this giant whale had the audacity to give us the exact thing that we moved into that section to receive. And I think I remember, I know I was pissed. I think you might have started crying because
That sounds right. I think I remember what you're talking about.
And then the whole time, mom and dad are just saying, "Well, we told you. Like, you knew what was going to happen. Like, but you're our parents. You're supposed to guide us. If we're making a stupid decision, you're supposed to say, hey, maybe don't." But you
No.
didn't.
As long as it's not going to actively hurt you, let your kid do the dumb thing.
Okay, well,
That's
that is
how they
another
learn.
thing. That is another thing I also have a story to tell you about, and I'll go ahead and get into it. So we just came back from SeaWorld. We spent some time in San Antonio, and pretty much I had some work to do, but the rest of it was surrounded around taking the kids to SeaWorld. And so we get there, we park, and like first off, it's easy to get tickets cheap now because of Blackfish and because of all the negative press they have. And Blackfish has definitely taken a heavy toll on the attendance at SeaWorld. And so you don't deal with crowds anywhere. If you're going to wait in line for something, it's maybe 2 or 3 people. And so the tickets were listed at like $90 a piece on their website for one day for
Okay.
one adult. Uh, Groupon to the rescue, and we ended up paying, what was it, $30 a ticket?
Oh, wow. Okay.
But then you pay for parking, which was $26. And so, I mean, the whole thing, it was cheap for an entire day at a theme park, just getting
Mhm.
in the park. And so that was good. We went to where they have the dolphins. Do you remember the dolphins in
Yeah.
San Antonio?
The like
Uh,
touch tank kind of thing.
uh-huh. That doesn't exist anymore. Now it's this whole built
I
out
can see
area,
why.
this whole like cove where these dolphins are. But if you want to feed them or if you want to pet them, if you want to interact with them, $170 a person
Oh my God. What?
with a wetsuit and a trainer and all that. And I don't know how long the
Oh.
experience is, but $170. And that part you can do without a ticket to SeaWorld. So if for whatever reason you just want to go see dolphins, you can pay for the
Yeah.
$26 in parking, walk in, go to the left instead of going to the gate entrance for SeaWorld. And you can just
Mhm.
walk right in, go see the dolphins. They got a really big aquarium there with sharks and stuff in it too that you can also do.
Okay.
So that part was cool. It was a bummer that the tank's gone because you'd pay like $5. They'd give you a tray of fish. You'd just feed them to the dolphins. You could pet them, and it wasn't an issue. But now they have like this whole giant tank, and there's a part where you can go you can see them under the water and all that. I mean, I guess it's a nicer experience if you didn't know what was there before.
Okay.
And then we walk in and we get our ticket scanned, and there is a family there with like a puppy labradoodle on a leash. No shoes on the dog, no vest or anything saying that, hey, this is a service animal or anything.
Yeah.
So they're just walking in with this labradoodle with a thick ass coat uh, on hot concrete all day. And we thought that was weird.
Poor dog.
I don't know why that would be allowed in the park, but there's an aura throughout the entire place of just no one giving a shit. Just
Okay.
like yeah, you take what you get, and then you're doing something. We're not going to say anything. So we went about our day. We made it to all the shows. None of them were heavily populated at all. Uh, plenty of seating. There was a cool acrobat show that they had. Almost watched a guy fall to his death twice on like this spinning wheel, kind of like a hamster wheel, but
Okay.
it was one of those wheels, but it had the counterweight on the bottom of it, so it spun around in a circle. Yeah, he was on top of it and was jump roping, and then his foot caught on one of them on the rope, and then almost fell, and then he
Oh my
was
gosh.
skipping on it, and then almost fell. So the kids almost witnessed a death, but luckily, nothing happened. We went to the SeaWorld show, or not the SeaWorld show, the Orca show, and what it is now is it is a heavy, heavy pivot from what it used to be. What it used to be is like, hey, look at what we've trained these whales to do, and we can do all this stuff with them, and it's like shooting people up in the air like 20 feet, and they're diving back into the water. They're like riding on the backs, holding on to the dorsal fins and all this stuff. All that's gone. Now it's SeaWorld
Thankfully.
cares. We care. The orcas are the number one
Okay.
predator in the ocean, except for, can you guess who? Humans.
Yeah.
Humans have to save the orcas, and it's just a gigantic PR pivot, and it's so blatant
Okay.
and so just on the nose. And then they're like, "Ooh, this is what they do in the wild." And then Cooper asked me, "Why are their fins flipped over?" And I had to explain to her, "Hey, well, that's just what happens whenever they're in prison. That's what
Yeah.
happens to orcas in prison." She's like, "Are all orcas like that?" I said, "No, no, just the ones that
Not the happy ones.
ones that are in the ocean, just the ones here." And so we kind of did the same thing. The kids really wanted to get splash. We not so much. So we sat in the top section. Now I guess I get it. I get what good old John and Karen were trying to do, and they just wanted their children to have the experience that they wanted, but they didn't want to partake in it that much. And so
Sure.
they do the whole, and this is how orcas hunt. and they slap the water and all this other stuff. Anyways, and so the trainers go to each section and they're like, "Come over here so that we can you can really get all this poop water in your face." And so we sent the kids over there. It was like 2 sections over, and they get there right after all the water hits. We're like, "Dang, all right, well, sorry. It's probably for the best, anyways." And then they're going to the section on our right, and then they're going to the section across the stadium. And then just out of nowhere, it pops up right in front of us, completely drenches me and Emily, and then just like barely skims the kids. Like, what the hell? And so we're soaked. The kids aren't soaked, but they're laughing because we didn't want to get soaked. And now it's going to be Chafe City for the rest of the day. And I remember
Cornstarch.
a little snack afterwards. I remember they kept talking about the whale that is like the mom of the pod. And let me get her name. Where is it? Camilla. And they kept saying this name over and over again. Like, this is Camilla. This is she's going to show you how we weigh her and all this other stuff. We put her on a whale-sized scale. Oh, but her tail's still in the water. How do we fix that? And then she like lifts up her head and her tail and all this stuff, and it's nice. And it's like, all right, thanks, Camilla. And she goes about her goes on her way and goes back to wherever the hell she hangs out when she's not performing. And show's over. Everything's fine. We're leaving. We're going to, I think after that we went to the raft ride. And yeah, I mean, it was for what it was, without all the pomp and circumstance that it used to have. It was a good show. We'd seen it before spring break, either last year or the year before, and it was fine. It was decent. It was still, the kids were awestruck by it, and that's kind of what you're going there for, anyways.
Yeah.
And so everything's peachy keen. We go to the raft ride. That's the only one that we had to actually wait for. I think we waited maybe about 25 minutes for that one. But guess who was in front of us? Like, I don't know, 4 families ahead of us. It was Labradoodle in line for the raft ride.
Where is the dog going on the ride?
We weren't sure, but we waited there and we were discussing it. Like, there's no possible way this is going to happen. Like, bringing the dog into the park is one thing, but actively putting them on a ride is a completely different thing. They get up and they're in the little waiting area to get on the next raft, and sure enough, no one says a damn word about them holding this dog on the leash and putting them in the raft.
Oh my God.
And then not just that, but there's a dude there in this group that has a child with him that they turned away, that was too small to ride, and he's waiting in the exit line for them to be done. So there was someone there that could have taken this dog and held on to it while they were on this raft ride, but instead this family took the dog on the raft ride, get off, and then the dog's like, as soon as it jumped off the raft, it just starts shaking the water off. And I mean, it didn't seem too phased, but I still think that was a definite sign of just like, hey, that's not my job with them. Because there was one person like overseeing everything, and then 2 people that were actively unloading and loading people. Plenty of people that could have said, hey, yeah, your dog can't ride. But it happened.
Abusing your dog at SeaWorld is kind of like putting a hat on a hat. That is, oh my God. How did no one stop them?
I have no clue.
Service animal or not, I feel like that's a dicey area.
I feel like if you have a service animal, then there's just stuff that you can't do because you have a service animal with you, and you just have to accept that.
Right. Roller coasters seem to be number 1 on that list.
And then after that, they're another one that I have vivid memories of going to a 4D theater and remembering the show well, and it just being gone. They replaced it with like this puppet show that's in blacklight, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's a pretty cool show, but it's still it's not the same thing. And my member berries were going crazy while we were sitting in there about all the all the times that,
Back in your old days.
yeah. We went and checked in on the sea turtles because Max is a huge fan of sea turtles and just turtles in general. There was a one that was just in the corner of the tank right against the glass, not moving. Just just a boulder there just in the water. And then the kids were like, "What's that's not one, that one's not real, is it?" And I said, "I don't know why they would use a fake sea turtle as a decoration to just put it in the bottom of the
Yeah.
tank with real sea turtles." I was like, "No, that one's definitely not a fake sea turtle, but whether it's living or not, that's a completely different story." And so,
Do
out of
sea turtles
curiosity,
float?
I looked it up because maybe I don't think they have gills, but maybe they have some way of breathing underwater. No, they
Mm-hmm.
breathe air, and there was no air bubbles coming out of this sea turtle. There was no movement at all. Eyes were closed, nothing. No
Huh.
REM eye twitches. I don't know if turtles get that. I'm assuming they do. I'm assuming that's just
Sure, yeah.
all animals. But
Yikes.
yeah. So we tried to shoo the kids away from there as quickly as possible. They went and did a ride, and
Yep.
me and Emily were sitting down and we were talking about it. And I was looking it up because I was like, I mean, they definitely breathe air, so there's no way that they can just lay there at the bottom just indefinitely and still
Mm-hmm.
be alive. Emily got concerned enough that she asked someone. The guy just kind of like laughed it off and was like, "Oh, yeah, that was Big Mama. She does that sometimes." Like,
What?
oh, okay. And apparently, I had to look this up. This wasn't something that came from a SeaWorld trainer, which if you're going to be hanging around this tank where this sea turtle looks definitely dead, then maybe
Mm-hmm.
this is a little factoid you should throw out. And now everyone who listens to this will know that when sea turtles uh, decide to take a nap, they can do some process to where they can hold their breath for up to 4 hours.
Okay.
And so apparently that's what this one was doing. We thought maybe he was just lying and just trying to cover it up, and they were just going to get that turtle out of there before anyone else made a statement, a stink about it. But we went
Yeah.
back and checked on her, and she was starting to wake up. So not dead, but definitely
Big
looked
Mama is
dead.
still alive.
Big Mama is still with us. Uh, yeah, I think I already mentioned it, but it's a ghost town. It was like uh, the shows were empty, and especially for the shows where they have like the acrobats and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
there's no other animals, so all the attention is on these people, and you're performing for like maybe 40 people. That's just I don't think that is where you expected to land when you flunked out of Disney World School or University, whatever it's called. But performers were
They had
good.
they had so much potential.
They did, and
Unfortunately,
then
it was built on a very awful premise.
I didn't get the chance to ask anyone about Blackfish. I don't know if that's taboo to bring up to an employee of SeaWorld, but I'd be interested to know
There's
what their
n-
take was.
there's no way that they're not trained when they get hired on how to respond to questions like that.
Yeah,
Because they can't risk any hourly employee getting asked that question and them actually responding in a way that is not sanctioned by SeaWorld.
yeah, yeah. So I didn't get around to that. But rest of the day was pretty cool. The last show of the night was a show with jet skis and a rock band and pyrotechnics and fireworks.
Okay.
Definitely seemed like it was above the budget of what SeaWorld is working with these days, but it was real cool. They even had one of those like water jetpacks
Okay.
that guy was using and doing flips and stuff in it. I had no idea that those worked off of jet ski engines. Because the whole time he's up there, he has
Really?
these tubes that are connected to a jet ski, and the jet ski's just following him around, just like idling in the water.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So that was pretty neat. Yeah. Afterwards, my eye got super duper red, and I'm pretty sure that Kamiya gave me pink eye.
Oh,
So that was real fun. But then I inadvertently got my revenge because 2 days later,
what did you do to the whale?
2 days later, it was announced that Camilla had been battling a disease and succumbed to that disease
Oh my gosh.
2 days after we were there.
Good Lord. That place
Uh,
is having a rough time. They can't get any more orcas, right?
they can't get any more now, and
Like,
I don't know.
like
I
they
don't
were
think they're
only.
able to breed either.
I mean, it would be inbreeding. That can't be good for them. Because I'm pretty sure most of those orcas are related.
So I don't know, but I
Huh.
mean, SeaWorld definitely won't be around for my kids'
For the
kids,
long
my
haul.
grandkids.
No.
And a little quick fact, a little DFW fun fact. Did you know that we had a SeaWorld type place in Arlington?
I did not.
Yeah, it's across from where
When?
Hurricane Harbor is now. That
When
whole
was this?
area was like this was like 80s.
Hmm.
I
Interesting.
want to say like late 70s, early 80s. It didn't last very long. There's a hotel there now and a whole bunch of parking lots that are slowly getting taken over by esports arenas and new ballparks and all that jazz. But
Yeah.
yeah, we used to have dolphins and whales and all that kind of stuff in right in our backyard.
Interesting.
Would you ever go back to SeaWorld?
I would, but I think my case with a lot of the theme parks and stuff is that I probably wouldn't go back unless I had kids with me.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, I don't really see the as much of a draw anymore. I think it'd be cool to
Yep.
see a lot of that stuff as like a one-off, but it's always tough to reconcile what a lot of those places are these days versus what they exist as nostalgically.
Yep.
Which, granted, I don't have the clearest memories of them anyway, but like I think that it would be probably better to leave them as is. In the same way that like I got zebra cakes, which were like my absolute favorite of the like snack foods growing up. I got one of them sometime last year and I was just like, it's been forever. I want to try it. I got one bite in and got immediately nauseous. I don't know if the recipe's changed, if I've changed. It was so sickeningly sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows, man? Who knows? Last one I got here is the mecca of all theme parks, Disney
The
World.
House of Mouse.
Have you been?
I have not.
Been
I went
you've been.
to when I was in California. I went to the Anaheim Disney tour, the City Walk thing.
Mm,
There's a name for it. I don't remember.
used to be Pleasure Pier, but I think they changed that. Downtown Disney.
Yeah, I don't think that's what it's called. Downtown
Double.
Disney. Yeah,
Yeah.
I went to that. City Walk is Universal.
Isn't that the Chinese restaurant in South Park? She Walk.
Almost.
I've only been there once. I went there in 2010 with the band, the marching band.
You went to Disney World, right? Not Land.
Yes, we went to Disney World. 16 hours on a charter bus.
Sounds like fun.
Got there late, almost missed the bus. And then I guess mom would have to like drive me to wherever they decided to stop the first time so I could get on.
Yeah, that'd
But
be insane.
I made it. And
Yeah.
I didn't get to sit next to my boo thing,
No,
which probably for the best.
that seems like a good idea on the teacher's behalf.
There, there had been incidents before I got there that led to that being a non-starter.
Sure, a bus
Um,
full of 17-year-olds aren't known to behave.
and I made it very clear that I was only riding this ride until I got to go to Disney World, and then I was out. And then so was she, and so we weren't the golden children.
Minding.
So
Sure.
so we didn't get much leeway given to us. But it was fun, from what I remember of it. The bus ride seemed to fly by. This was before good internet on our phones, so it was a lot of portable DVD players and Game Boy and PSP stuff. But as far as the
I
park
miss the
itself,
PSP.
I don't remember much about it. I know that the fireworks shows were pretty spectacular. I remember some of the stuff from Animal Kingdom don't remember much from Magic Kingdom, but altogether, I mean, it was a good trip from what I remember. I got a whole bunch of super blurry, super crappy pictures that I took on a BlackBerry while I was there,
Oh, nice. Okay.
a BlackBerry Pearl. So I have those, but like I said, I don't. Maybe I can run them through some software and get them touched up.
Get AI to generate a scenario for you like it does with everyone on TikTok these days.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of, I tried to get, because I see these baby TikTok things everywhere, and
They
so I
creep me out.
tried to, I tried to do, can I have your number? And
Yeah.
I got still images of I'll send them to you right now. I got still images of uh, Darrell and Yvonne, and they
Hmm.
turned out great, but I couldn't get it to make the video. And then
Okay.
I looked it up, and apparently there's like all this extra stuff you have to do um, through all these other like generative video AI software nonsense, silliness.
Okay.
So I didn't go through with it, but look how good these pictures turned out. Or send them to your phone. Really, the only
Oh,
issue.
she is not working that up to.
No, I tried to do one. I said, give her a high ponytail, and
Hmm.
yeah, it didn't pan out. But overall, those are real good.
I
Except
don't like
for,
that they have the right number of fingers.
yeah, I mean, that's AI now, man. You can't even tell if Will Smith is actually eating that spaghetti. But I'm gonna post these on Instagram and see if someone can give me some guidance on how I can turn that whole skit into baby AI.
I feel like we could incorporate that into our Instagram post for the through lines. I don't know how, but I think there's a way.
Hmm. Well, you think on it. You give me your ideas. So one thing I wish I had done at Disney World that I know I didn't was the Hall of Presidents. Do you have any
Yeah.
interest in going and seeing the Hall of Presidents?
I think it would be cool to see, but it wouldn't be high on my priority list.
Like, okay, if you were going to Disney World, what would be your like number one thing you have to do first?
I think like Space Mountain would be really cool. I
Hmm.
think that like doing the food tours of Disney would be really fun
Yeah.
because a lot of what I've seen of the parks that's not necessarily as like child centric is the
Mm-hmm.
food.
Yeah.
And so I think it would be really cool to do like the like drinks around Epcot kind of thing or like a food tour of all of the like the gray stuff from Beauty and the Beast, which is supposed to be foie gras and it's definitely not at the Disney parks because that would be monumentally problematic.
The gray stuff.
Yeah.
What was that?
So the gray stuff, it's part of the lyrics of Be Our Guest. It's essentially like it looks kind of gross. But it's one
That
of
sounds
those like
gross.
things that it's technically foie gras. And so it's supposed to be like the delicacy in Belle's feast in Be Our Guest. But
And that's
the
duck
Disney
eggs,
parks, because
duck liver,
huh? No,
duck liver.
duck liver.
Yeah.
And it is abusive. Like it shouldn't. It's not ethically okay. But what Disney World and Disneyland did instead was they made it like a Oreo whipped mousse, and
Uh
it
huh.
looks really good. Or
Huh.
like the beignets from Princess and the Frog, which is, for the record, my favorite Disney movie.
Hmm. So you're a fan of the Splash Mountain overlay?
I would like to do Splash Mountain and like a couple of the rides and stuff. Like Tower of Terror would be cool.
Would you have done it if it was still Brer Rabbit and all the Song of the South stuff? Would you still do Splash Mountain?
I'm
A lot
glad
of
they've gotten with the times. I don't think that I would if it were racism themed.
yeah, a lot of people were up in arms about it. I don't really care. I liked Princess and the Frog, so I'm fine with it. But oh boy, was it a
Yeah.
talking point for lots of a certain side of TikTok and
Mm.
Instagram and Twitter.
I think I would really like going on the rides where it's more like animatronics focused than like big drops and scary things. like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the whiplashy kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like the animatronic that they use in like the OG Expedition Everest would have been really cool before they had to
With
like
the Yeti,
cement the Yeti to the thing so that he didn't fall.
because he was
Or like
literally
the
crumbling the foundation.
yeah. Or the they have like an avatar ride
Mm-hmm.
in one of them where they have like a knobby shaman that looks creepily real. It's so
Uncanny
cool to
Valley.
see. I did watch it break down on camera, like on a TikTok video once,
Yeah.
and it made me like it gave me goosebumps. Did not like that.
There's a channel on YouTube called TPM Vids, and they do a lot of Disney breakdowns, ride breakdowns, and like turning on the house lights, and you get to see everything behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So you
Okay.
should check some of those out if you want to have trouble sleeping. If you have a problem with broken down animatronics, do you prefer the like original, like maybe like uncanny face movements, or do you like the ones that just have the faces projected onto them?
I don't know that I've seen enough of both sides to have a good like frame of reference for the difference,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I would opt for the projected ones where it's a little bit more like realistic,
Yeah.
and a little bit more of that like uncanny valley kind of thing.
Yeah, I haven't seen the project. I saw Mr. Potato Head. He was a projected face, but I haven't seen like the like while you're in the rides, because the Mr. Potato Head was at the end of the ride. It was like in when you're exiting and into the gift shop. I haven't
Mhm.
seen the actual like during the ride ones that have the face projections.
Okay. I think the only like downside with doing the animatronic rides is that a lot of them are water based. And when they're water based, they tend to be, for some reason, the ones that people decide to spread their loved ones into.
That is correct.
That is genuinely horrifying. I don't know what the thought process is behind I'm going to spread my loved one's ashes at Disneyland or Disney World.
Well,
Is it just
Grandma
because of
Gertie,
Walt Disney being frozen on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride?
maybe, I don't know, or maybe it's just
Conspiracy.
it's an easy way to just do it without you think that there are less eyes on you because you're in the dark. But that is
I guess.
100% not true.
Yeah.
Ooh. Which, I mean, is not a bad theory. Whether you believe that it is true or not, whether you believe that they did it because Walt's head is in there, people do search Walt Disney and Frozen together. So this
Nonsense
would be a
conspiracy
way
theory
to
of the day.
deter just
The movie
even
Frozen
just
was
to
made
get
so that people
the
could look
rumor
up
to
Walt
go
Disney
away.
Frozen and it would show something other than his head being in the Pirates
So
of the Caribbean ride.
it could I don't think that it was, if there's any truth to it, and there might be a sliver, and it might just be a happy coincidence afterwards that it happened this way, but
Which
I
it
don't
isn't.
think it was because, oh, they're on to us, we gotta divert the attention. I think it was like, hey, I'm sick of hearing this rumor. So maybe instead of calling this movie Ice Princesses, we can just call it Frozen. I don't know.
Yeah,
Brave, Up.
I'm sure that did. Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, don't even get me started on adjectives. You're gonna get me all riled up again. All right, you ready for the cost breakdown? Okay, so I looked up for 5 days
Yeah.
for
I mean,
3
they
children,
did adopt a
2
pretty
adults.
common naming
How
practice
much
for a
do you
minute
think
there.
it is
There was
per child
Frozen, there was
for
Brave, there was
5
Tangled,
days?
there was other ones that I'm sure I can't
This is
think of right
with
now,
Park
where it was
Hopper.
just like the
So you
one
can, if
adjective.
you don't want to spend all day at Epcot, which who
Yeah.
does, you could just shoot over to Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom, whatever. How much is that for one day for one, or for 5
what do you
days
got?
for one child? No, 368. It's 1104 for 3 children though. For 2 adults, it is $1,520. So for 3 kids, 2 adults, 5 days, just to get into these parks, just to have the ability to leave one park and go to another one in the same day, you are spending $2,624 before food, before souvenirs, before hotel,
$1,200.
before gas, before anything else, flights. So 26 plus $100. What's the discount for in-state? Do you know? I know they get a pretty hefty discount on season passes. But I wonder what the discount is for tickets. Because I remember when I went for training for somewhere, this guy was from Ocala, which is outside
So
of Orlando.
theoretically,
And he just talked
speaking,
nonchalantly
if you
about
just had like
how,
Florida
sometimes
Project
we'll
kids,
just
you could just like let
uh,
them loose in the Disney World
early
for
in the
only a couple
afternoon we'll
$100.
shoot over
That's
to
dope.
Disney. We'll go watch the
Just
fireworks,
free
and then
your
we'll just
children
go
in the
home.
park.
And it blew my mind that someone could have Disney World season passes. But I know people here in Texas that have Disney season passes. And I don't understand how a corporation can have that much of a hold on you that you're willing to spend that, and then not just that, but then all the travel to get there and back every time to make it worth your while. Can you give us a little tease?
That's nuts. Yeah. What?
Mm-hmm. I,
I will say I do have a lot of thoughts when it comes to Disney adults, which I think we had as set as a separate episode. I do have a lot of thoughts when it comes to that. Okay, this might be narrowing it down a little bit too much. I think if you base your entire personality and every one of your hobbies and things off of you liking one specific set of IP,
I mean, that
if
goes
you have
with
just like
anything.
drank the Kool-Aid like that, it's a problem.
Basing your
I think that
entire
you
personality
should
on
address
any
it.
one thing,
And maybe
whether
that's
it's
me being
music,
small-minded
whether it's
because these
politics,
people
whether it's
are
movies, whether it's Disney,
in it
whether it's
for the
Universal, whether it's
artistry
any of this
of
stuff.
Disney,
It's
or they're in it for the nostalgia
yeah,
of all the movies that
it's
they grew up with. Like I'm sure there's
not a great way to
logic
live your life.
behind
Have
it,
some variety.
but I think it's
Variety
insane
is the
if
spice of
you
life.
are basing your entire existence to some extent on something, some specific like set of characters. Absolutely.
Yes. And it's all the, ooh, look how dark and brooding and gothy I am. This is my favorite
Yeah,
movie.
absolutely. Yeah. I'm absolutely using that as a catch-all for people who have that kind of like I think it feels like a
Yeah.
kind of addictive personality
I
situation because there are people that
don't
are
know, man.
just
That's
so head over
definitely
heels
worthy
for
of its own
like
episode, because
Nightmare
I know
Before
people that
Christmas.
I just grow up,
Or there's like
broaden your horizons a little bit.
yeah.
But overall,
It's a good movie, but the people who refuse to just like
yeah,
a thing
go for it.
so much so that they have to obsess over it instead. It like I don't
Just remember,
understand
we try to keep this at a PG-13.
how we get from point A to point B.
You tell him. Yeah. Well, overall,
Yeah.
I think that
Maybe that's
theme parks are a
the
dying breed.
episode Nate and I will
I
tackle
think that
as
they're on
Disney
their way
adults
out, and I don't know what's going to replace
and other
them.
one-trick
Maybe it's
ponies.
just a bunch of dummies in virtual reality goggles just bumping into each other. Who knows? But
I mean, they're Disney
it's not
adults.
just
I think
one.
the
It
IP
seems like
itself is pretty
as a whole,
mild. I think the discussion
it's all
around
just
them can be
rolling
equally
downhill,
as mild.
and doesn't seem like there's going to be any bright lights on their horizon because the food's expensive and it's garbage. The tickets are expensive when you don't know day to day what you're actually going to get, if you're going to get the full experience, or if
Yeah.
you're planning all this stuff out and then ends up that half the stuff you can't even do because of this, that, or the other. Uh, the rides are gradually just becoming these like carnival style. Seems like they're about to be dismantled and driven down
You
the
don't think they're
highway to the next place. And yeah, just the amount of stuff that you used to get before for way cheaper, but now you're paying way more to get there. And then once you get in, you have to pay all this extra stuff, like the genie pass or the flash pass, whatever you want to call it. The give me a RSVP so I don't have to wait here and I can actually enjoy this time that I have here. Or the dolphin experience, which, sure, I get that that's problematic, but it's still a thing. Giving someone going from $5
Yeah.
to the same experience, except standing in the water with them, with one of the most, besides humans, one of the most rapey mammals in the entire animal kingdom. Like maybe that barrier was a good thing before, but now having to pay $170 per person in order to feed the fish and potentially be assaulted, like that just it just ruins it. And so, like I said, I don't know what the future for theme parks is, but it does not look good.
Mhm.
Hmm. Yeah. Tokyo.
Yeah. I yeah. This is going to be entirely speculative because I've not been to a theme park
Yeah.
in another country, but I think American theme parks are on their way out. I don't think theme parks as a general are. Because if you see the things that are happening with like Disney in Paris or I think there's one in Hong Kong, maybe. Or like the
And saw
Universal
the
Land or the
ride.
Hello Kitty Land and things that are in Japan, like those
Yeah.
things are
Like
they look
saw the ride.
incredible. They look like they have
I'm pretty sure that
so
exists
much just
somewhere.
like artistry and craft behind them in a way that I think Americans don't necessarily have anymore. And like I've been looking at there's one in Dubai, I think. I don't think it's Universe. I think it's
Yeah.
like Lionsgate, which is a super weird choice. But they have like Hunger Games and stuff,
And
and a bunch of
innovation's
other
gone out
just
the
like
window.
Lionsgate IPs.
And that all
Huh?
ties back into nostalgia and just it's
I
just
would
remakes.
I would go on.
Now the rides are remakes too.
Yeah,
The rides are just
I would do it.
rehashings of what
Uh,
came before
but
it.
I think that
Like
it's
there's nothing
just
genuinely new,
American
and at this point,
consumers
who knows
are
what
stretched
new
pretty
there
thin,
is still to be had. But
and more is being asked
um,
of them
that's
without
definitely
more being given to
a
them.
stink that's put over
And so I
uh,
think that
the theme parks that I've been to
theme
is that
parks
it
is
all
international.
seems so dated. Even the new stuff just seems like, okay, well, this is already like this has been around forever, and now you're just now getting it. Like, why wouldn't you just try to innovate something new? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No.
I think
Okay. Yeah. I
that's
get
kind
that.
of a
Yeah.
cynical way to look at it.
Seeing it is
Like
definitely
I don't think
a
the
completely
point
different
of it,
story, and like none of the stuff at
to
Disney World I've
my
seen
from
firsthand
my
since
perspective,
2010.
is to be
I'm sure it's a completely
the
different
latest and greatest
experience now
necessarily, because I
than
think you
what
can
I
still
would have
create that kind of
remembered from
magic.
then.
Like don't get me wrong, I have no idea what technology goes
But it
behind
just seems like the
the
stuff
Navi
that they
shaman
put
and the Avatar
at
ride.
Six Flags is just
But I
very
think being
underwhelming
able
and
to do
very
something that's a
just
little bit more analog and a little bit less
outdated as soon as it
amazing
starts.
things that you'll see on your phone all of the time, if you see it in person, I think it's still different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I think the issue with Six Flags specifically is that their IP is also a little overplayed, because most of, not to dig on DC or Looney Tunes or any of that kind of stuff, but it's also
Yes.
everywhere. Like, it's been licensed out to people and like theme parks companies,
No,
whatever,
it
for
was just we
a
have this
very,
IP
very long
available to
time.
us. We want to put in a water
And
ride.
it's
Let's
hard for
slap
it to
Aquaman
not
on it.
seem a little bit stale
Yep.
when they're using things that are not even a part of necessarily
Yep.
the zeitgeist anymore.
Yeah, and
Like, they have
like
an Aquaman ride.
the
How
one
long was the
at
period
Six
before
Flags,
Jason
the
Momoa
used to be
becoming
a 4D
Aquaman
show.
where that
That
ride
one
existed?
is Justice League,
And it was still a
and they
pretty
have
crappy
like a
movie.
couple
Two
animatronics
pretty
while you're
crappy
waiting in
movies.
line. They got like
So, like,
Cyborg and maybe
he
Wonder
doesn't
Woman.
seem
Uh,
having his own ride
but the
worthy, if
rest
we're
of
being
the
honest.
rides are just screens. So yeah.
Right. That's what Six Flags has kind of always felt
Mm-hmm.
like. Hmm. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Yeah. That sucks. That was a lot of the problem that I had with Universal, because I went back in 2018, I think. And the problem with Universal was that all of the rides
Mm-hmm.
were the 4D rides. I think we went on one
Is that the
actual roller coaster, and that was
Hagrid's?
for like Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
But the rest of them, like the Simpsons ride was cool, but it was just a
Yeah, I've never
4D,
been to
like you were in
Universal.
a roller coaster cart, but you weren't doing an actual roller
Yeah.
coaster thing. Same with like the Despicable Me one, and
Very into. Yeah.
honestly, I don't remember what all is a part of I think the
Def
Indiana Jones
that
and
would
like the
definitely be
Harry
the first thing
Potter
I would do
stuff were
if I
different.
went to
But the Harry Potter
Disney
line was
or
absolutely
Universal,
insane.
because
Was
that's
not worth going
something
into
that's already out
the
the
line for that one.
heading out the door too.
Yeah.
But
Which was an
yeah,
actual
that's all I
roller
got for
coaster,
this one.
but
You got anything else to add?
it was cool. The Simpsons area was awesome. I don't know if that is a thing that's awesome in the sense that like it was just really well built, or if it was just a thing I was super nostalgic for.
And you guessed right.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I really
Okay.
liked it. Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, I do. So when I was looking at stuff for this episode, I kind of figured that you would take
Emily won't
the
do
Six Flags,
Hurricane
Disneyland,
Harbor. She said
and SeaWorld route.
it's gross, but it's not
So
grosser. But it's grosser
I
than
picked a
like
couple of different
smaller water
ones.
parks around here, and I don't
First up
get the
is water parks.
distinction.
Water parks are theme parks that gross me out. I don't want to be in person soup with the general public. I know that a good amount of this is just my own
Yeah.
inability to swim, which makes these places decidedly less fun. Water parks are disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess there's probably more cleaning staff, but if they don't have enough people to operate the rides at Six Flags, I'm not trusting them to not cut corners where it counts at the Hurricane Harbor.
It's pretty crazy.
Can't do it. Won't do it. The other thing, so I have gone down this rabbit hole a time or two over the years of abandoned theme parks.
Jazzland.
I think it's fascinating in the same way that, like, in apocalypse movies and stuff, you see like nature take back over all of these man-made structures, and I always think that's really cool because the time frame between skyscrapers to everything getting reclaimed by nature is shockingly short if there aren't people to maintain them. And
It was
one
already
of the
open.
things, one of like the
It had been
most
operational for a long time. Yeah,
infamous
it was.
abandoned
It was
theme
originally
parks
called
is the
Jazzland,
Six
and then
Flags that's
Six
in New
Flags bought
Orleans.
it. And
Because
then
they built it, they finished it in, I want to say
it's
04, and
yeah,
they
it
were
was
trying to open it
Jazzland,
in
and
05. But
they
unfortunately,
refurbished some of the
because of what
rides. They
happened
brought
to
in
New
some
Orleans
rides
in
from other
05,
parks, and then
it just laid
Katrina hit.
completely
There's
abandoned for
really
almost
good
20 years
documentary called
almost 20 years because they are in the process of demolishing it right now
Closed for
so that they can
Storm,
build
maybe?
a
Bright Sun
entertainment
Films, a
complex.
YouTube channel. It's worth
Was it?
checking out. It's like
I thought
maybe hour 20 long.
I thought that was, I might be thinking of a different one.
There's a lot of movies that have been shot there. One of the Percy Jacksons was shot there. One of the Jurassic Worlds, maybe multiple Jurassic Worlds were shot there. Uh, yeah, anytime they
Okay.
needed a like a desolate rundown area, that's where they would shoot. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. I remember reading that story on, I assume, Reddit, like a very long time
A
ago.
classic.
But yeah, they're finally demolishing it so that they can build something over it this year.
It's funny because when they show Chernobyl, that's usually the vantage point they show it from. Like you have the rides or like the
Really? I didn't know that.
Ferris wheel or merry-go-round in the foreground, and then behind it is just this
Decrepit.
sea of trees and just
Huh.
decay.
Interesting. I'll have to look into that. Also, the Pripyat amusement park that's in Chernobyl is in,
Mm-hmm.
or that they lost to Chernobyl was an interesting. It's interesting to look at. I spent a little time digging on Atlas Obscura this morning.
Yeah. Is Gulliver still there? He was like 40 feet long. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A couple of like, I also had a couple of like weird choices for amusement parks in general listed out. Do you remember, I don't know if you were on the side of the internet, the Gulliver's Travels
They weren't
theme park
fans
that they
of
did in
the Jack
Japan?
Black movie?
That was I don't think so. I think he's been completely overtaken or fully demolished at this point because
Lane.
the theme
He's
park
never standing.
itself ran from
He was just
97 to
this
2001,
human figure
and
that just
it hit
took
a
up
pretty
a
steady
half an
downhill
acre of
slide
land.
because,
Laying down.
shockingly, not a lot of people
Wow.
have read that book.
Lame.
There's not a lot of
Was in
intersection in the
Japan?
Venn diagram of people who have read Gulliver's Travels and the people who go to theme parks and would be willing to.
Stop trying to
God,
make
that was not a
Gulliver
good movie.
happen. It's not gonna happen.
It was, yeah. I don't think that that Gulliver is still standing.
Or the gayest thing you could do.
It was demolished in
Am I
'07.
right? Ayo. I said, or the gayest thing you could do.
There are still
You'd never
active.
catch me at Dickens World.
There's
That's
still
all I'm
active
saying.
theme parks for Gulliver's Travels in the UK. Why do people keep trying to make this happen? Stop it. On top of that, I have Dickens World
That's it?
in Kent, which sounds like the most British thing that you could possibly do, is open a theme park that includes a boat ride through a Victorian sewer. Huh?
Do they have Tiny Tim hobbling around
Sure.
with his
Yeah.
Christmas ham?
No one's 100% straight, Caden. Anyway, it contains a boat ride through a Victorian sewer, a
Good
haunted
thing, but what a
house, and a
tool.
Victorian
What a
schoolroom.
tiny tool.
To which, who would pay for that? Who is this for? It included other things, but those are just the most haunted things I could think of that you would add to a theme park. It's ridiculous. I believe that one closed in 2016. I didn't
Some
write
sort
that
of
down.
philia.
It's just Peter Dinklage because he doesn't support any other little people doing things like that. There's a name for the love of abandoned
Or
places,
the
or like the
outlet
study of
mall
abandoned places, and I could
in
not
Shreveport,
for the life
Louisiana.
of me figure out what it is. I know that
Yep.
word exists. If any of our listeners can tell me, I would be greatly appreciated.
I would crash
greatly
pretty
appreciate it.
hard early on.
I think
if I
so,
found
but
myself in a
there's
space where
I don't know. I
there was
looked
no
around for a
obvious
little bit and
exit.
could not for the life of me find it. What I did find though is there's a word called canopsia. Canopsia? One of the two. And it is the eerie atmosphere of a place that should be bustling with people that is now abandoned,
Well,
which accurately describes liminal spaces, which I also find, I like liminal spaces as a rabbit hole thing. I don't want to be in one, but I think they're interesting to look at.
oh yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah.
That's fair. I think it would be really cool to see any of those things, but I don't think that
On
I
the
would
mountain?
want to be in one of them
Cool.
for very long.
No, Disney has been trying for a while to get something
there's also a
in like
mountaintop
middle America
amusement
or
park
like
in North Carolina that
somewhere that's
Disney is
not
trying to buy.
California or
It's been
Florida.
around since
They tried to do
60s, I
like a
think.
whole
And they've
America
changed
themed
hands
theme park, but
a half
then
dozen times. It's called
it turns out that it was
Ghost
going
Town
to be
in the
like
Sky.
super duper racist,
And
so
it looks
they're
really
like,
cool. They
yeah,
have like
never
a
mind.
ski lift thing that takes people up to it.
Great America,
But they're about to,
something
they closed in
something like that
2021
in
and
Virginia,
Disney's trying to buy them to start something
West
else,
Virginia?
maybe in
I
the
don't
next
know.
couple
I'm
of
pretty
years.
sure it was somewhere in Appalachia. There we go. Yeah, because people were like, you're going to do what now? And there was like depictions of like slavery and all that kind of stuff.
What? Great America. Disney's America was proposed in Haymarket, Virginia, and never built.
Yeah, I think the Civil War fort, they were getting backlash because they said they were going to be fair to both
there's
sides.
a lot of reasons I don't think this
An
would work,
even-handed
but
depiction
they
of both
included
sides, which,
9 distinct themed areas,
sure,
including
historically,
President Square,
that's the
Indigenous
way you wanna
Village,
go, but you
Ellis
just can't
Island,
do that without the
Factory Town,
octopus looking
Civil War
just
Fort,
awful.
County Fair,
So,
early 19th
that was one of
century
the main
port,
reasons,
World
but
War
as
II
you mentioned, there's
battlefield,
all
and
sorts of other
Depression era
reasons,
town.
ancillary
I don't
reasons
think
that
those are the most
it
happy-go-lucky
just
family
wouldn't have
time
panned
kind of
out.
themes. Why would I want to live the Great Depression at a theme park?
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Did you see that badass eagle that I took a picture of? You didn't see it? Yeah. It was on my we're on summer vacation post.
Yeah.
Looked cool as hell.
Especially today, it sounds
And also
absolutely insane
terrifying.
that someone would want to build an
And so majestic.
American-themed theme park.
And happy early 4th of July.
No matter what your
A little bit,
general beliefs are about the country,
I guess.
I don't
Yeah.
imagine that there would be a lot of people enjoying themselves
you
at
apart.
Disney's America.
It weighed 9 pounds, but it can lift up to 3 times its body
What
weight.
now?
It's a good thing that Labradoodle didn't
Is it
show
on
its face.
Instagram?
We got snatched away. Yeah. So ridiculous.
Oh, wow. It's both majestic and looks a little
Alrighty.
goofy,
Will, do you have any closing
which feels on brand for
words
America.
to send out
God,
into
look at those
the
claws.
ether?
Those talons are no joke.
That is a great... Yeah.
No, I was too busy getting on the
I'm
log
sorry
flume
to buy
again.
2 pairs, but you're the one that wants to be a dick and bring your dog
All
when
right,
it's
that
90
is
something
all I
degrees
had
walking on
for
concrete all day.
theme parks.
So think of others. Think of your pets. Spay and neuter. If
I can't believe that anybody
let's see.
would have to say this
I
out
don't
loud.
want theme parks to go away.
Don't take your dog
but
to
I
theme
also
parks.
know that their current
And also, if they're going to
trajectory
be outside,
is
put them in
not
shoes.
going to. They're
It's
not
fun for
long
the whole
this
family.
world. So enjoy them while you can, and take that into all other aspects of your life. Time with your kids, enjoy them while you can. You having a nice steak, enjoy it while you can. Make sure that
All right,
you
Bob Barker.
do us a favor and give us a 5-star review on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music. You can follow us at Cash Exchange Pod on X. TikTok is Cash Exchange Pod. Instagram, Cash Exchange Podcast. Or you can send us an email at cashexchangepod@gmail.com. And on that, we'll see you.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.